to introduce the car and just kind of show you guys around. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start with the interior and just gonna kind of go over a lot of the things that are gonna need to be addressed. So for the most part, the door panel is pretty solid except for it's broken loose here. Gonna have to repair that or just find a replacement. Probably end up putting some new speakers in and get that speaker grill a little bit better there. Obviously, the carpet is probably original. That's gonna need to be replaced. The seats definitely seen better days, but to be 30 years old, what can you expect? The leather's cracked. These were just completely torn. I ended up using some tape that I can't remember exactly what it was called. It was like Raptor tape or something crazy like that. It was like 100 times stickier than duct tape. It worked pretty well. Moving on to the center console. It's still intact. I know a lot of these are broken in some cars, but it's in pretty rough shape. It needs a little TLC, but I mean, you know, it's just probably putting some new material in here. Looks like this actually is broken, so probably will need to be replaced, but not most important thing. The ashtray is, I have it, I believe, but I think it's broken. The original gauges, obviously the clock doesn't work. Most of them don't by this point. The shift boot is ripped, and I suspect that the internal boot is probably torn as well because I get some fume smells in here. At least I did a couple years ago when it was running. Dash cracked. I think there's very few of these probably left that aren't cracked, so I'll address that at some point. Glove box is in pretty good shape. The back seats are actually in pretty decent condition. I know some people remove them, but I'll probably just keep them. The headliner, definitely in bad shape. It's gonna need to be replaced. I've got a whole piece just completely missing. I've got half of it though. I should be able to make a stencil. I've replaced the gears that work the actuator arms for the sunroof, but they are not they're not set correctly. I need to adjust the slip gears in the back. I know Brent made a video about that. I just haven't had time to mess with it. Moving on to the exterior, I'm going to start in the back here. The tail lights themselves are in pretty good shape. Just need to get maybe some new seals on the back. They're just completely gone. I think that there's a seal that goes around here. Completely gone. My bumperettes in the back are actually in really good shape. Need to get some new lettering. Got some body imperfections here that can probably be worked out. If not, I can just use some body filler and get that smooth. Obviously, the paint is in horrible condition. I don't think I'm even going to try to buff it out or anything. Right now, I plan on just wrapping it. I got enough wrap that I should be able to cover the whole car. I'm going to give that a try and see how that goes. Obviously, I'll be documenting that. The hatch, somebody has doctored it at the top here to prevent it from leaking, although the tape has broken apart and it does leak a little bit currently. So what has happened, and I have read from several other people that this has happened quite frequently to them, is the gas shocks went bad, and when the previous owner replaced the gas shocks, there was too much tension for this 30-year-old adhesive, and the glass slid inside of the seal and kind of protruded out from the back, and it prevents it from shutting properly. So basically, I need to take this off and get the glass away from the outer seal here and put some fresh adhesive and let that dry and set really well. Just for good measure, I'm going to replace all of my seals around my windows, all this trim. It's all just dry rotted. All the internal trim for the doors and for the sunroof, I'm going to replace all that. My doors, driver's side door is good. The previous owner, which actually is my cousin, so that's kind of neat. This car's been in the family for almost 10 years now, I believe. So the driver's side door is good because he did some work on the handle, replaced the handle, but the locks don't match. So I eventually would like the locks to match the ignition, match the passenger side, match the hatch, everything with the same key. So that's a project in the future. I've got a pretty good gash here on the driver's side door. It's been like that since I've had it. I'm not sure if my cousin had this happen or if he bought it like this as well, but there's also another pretty good little gash under here. Not sure about that one. I don't know if that can be pulled out or what, but that's a pretty good one right there. It's a hard place. Got the factory phone dials. Currently, my plan is to stay with these. Might end up painting them. Need some new center caps. They're pretty chewed up. If not, you know, I'm not opposed to getting some nice sporty aftermarket wheels, but it kind of takes away from the original Porsche look. I'm gonna probably end up needing some shocks and struts and a lot of these parts under here because this is in pretty terrible shape. Really rusted pretty bad. Everything's just got a lot of grime. Some of these bushings, these rubber bushings, are just completely dry rotted, falling apart. And they've seen better days. Some of them might just still be original. I don't know. So once I get this baby running, I'm going to work on getting it more roadworthy. I've noticed that my actual, if you can see back there, the actual steering wheel, whatever you want to call it there, the bar that leads to the steering wheel, it is just completely inundated with rust. And that's probably not a good thing. I'm sure it's at least noisy, if nothing else. Everything is really dirty. You can see some of my pulleys are really rusty. I'd really love to pull all that stuff off and clean it up, get it just looking real nice. And I think most of this nastiness and grime, at least the wet looking stuff, was from the power steering pump when it was leaking. So once I get that under control, hopefully this stuff will stay a little more clean. Noticed I've got a ground wire or something here that has broken loose. I'll replace some little odd and end things like that. This under lip here, the front, I don't know if you want to call this the air dam or what the official name is. It is just bent, scraped and scratched all to pieces, and that's gonna have to be addressed at some point, but obviously that's not the most important thing. This bumper has even less paint than the rest of the car, but that can be easily fixed. The only problem is my bumperette here. This bolt has completely rusted through and broke off, so I need to replace that. This one's actually really good. It's right against the bumper, nice and solid. Headlights, they work. Everything's good there. I've covered in previous videos everything I've done to the engine. I resealed the cam tower, which was leaking, and that was the whole reason why the car has been parked for 2 years, because after I did that is obviously when I messed up the pulleys and the belt. So ever since then it hasn't been started, but that was the last thing that I did. I've had the intake manifold off, cleaned and polished, and looks like it probably might need it again after sitting for a couple of years. That air and moisture really does a number if it's just sitting still. I completely resealed the throttle body, painted the throttle body pulley and things like that, made it look kind of nice. I replaced all the vacuum lines, all these red hoses. I'm gonna go back to a factory air box, I believe. I haven't liked any of these aftermarket replacements that I've found, so I'll be going back to factory air box, and I'm gonna replace the coolant reservoir. I don't like that dingy yellow nastiness there. So that's an overview of pretty much everything with this car. Hopefully I covered all the bases and didn't forget anything. If anybody has any questions, please put a comment below or shoot me a message on Instagram or Facebook, and like and subscribe and follow and share and all these fun things. I want as many people as possible to enjoy this journey and be able to enjoy this car. So much love to you guys. Thank you.